and welcome to another episode of Witch Hat Chats. And come on in and sit for a spell. We're sponsored by Evermoving We Rise and Moonlight Potions and Charms. I am your amazing goddess host, Miss Nikki Kirby, and we are joined by our fantastic chaos magician. His name is Saul Ravencraft. How are you doing, Saul?
I am terrific, Nikki. How are you doing today?
I'm having a blast.
Excellent. Excellent. Glad to be here with you. Glad to be anywhere, as they say.
Oh, so what you been up to, Saul?
Well, we just got out of the Thanksgiving season, which is always a little chaos. It's disruptive to the routines. And of course, with the kind of stuff that you and I do, that can get weird because things sometimes have to get crammed together so that you can make the space. But it was pleasant. There was time in San Antonio with family and all that, and it was. I did allow myself to come to a full stop a few times, which is important. It's something that we all need to do. How about yourself? Did you have any kind of a break in the action, or has it just been nuts for you?
Well, I got time to be able to rest and relax for a little while. Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Well, moving on this week, there are a lot of activities that are picking up, but they're not necessarily public-facing things. And I would invite you if I could. I'm not always permitted, but I am still at Curia Arcanum's House of Curiosities. I'll be there on Thursday, today, rather, the 27th, and then I'll also be there Thursday on December 1st. And it's kind of open season as to what you want to do. I'm certainly doing readings, but sometimes people want to consult about something or other. And Curia Arcanum is just a wonderful place. There are candles and incense and books and other kinds of jewelry and just fun stuff. It's an oasis here in Austin, and you got to come check it out. You'll understand when you walk in. You can feel the place, and always happy to see you there. And of course, people take advantage of my remote setup. The same setup I use here to record Witch Hat Chats is the setup I use to do readings, so we can show a display of the table, and it's just like sitting across from me. And it's a great advantage if you're not in the Austin area, a way to reach out with me for a reading or a consultation. And you don't even have to put on shoes. You can just be where you are, how you are, and I love doing that. So reach out and we can make that happen. Now, Miss Nikki, you always have a bazillion things going on in your world. What is happening over there?
Well, with Evermoving We Rise, we're going to have our Yule and New Moon ritual on the 22nd of December. So we're looking forward to that. With Moonlight Potions and Charms, we are excited because we are still a 5-star Etsy seller. And we're still having our 5-star rating. So we're really proud of that. We have our readings and our coaching. And, our ancestral readings are one of the best that we've ever done. It's exciting to connect people with their ancestors and seeing how things are when people connect to their roots and everything and see how things just click. It's just really, really great. It's really interesting too. It's just it's just really very powerful to be able to do that. And then we also have our new items that we have, as well as our favorites, like our Papa Legba Altar on the Go that we always have. Actually, it's a favorite, and so many more items. So come and check those out. And so, what is going to go on sale on December 1st?
Well, we are in the season now. Tickets are opening up for Manifestasia. The event happens toward the end of January, the 21st and 22nd, but we're going to have a few special activities going on between now and then for ticket holders so that you'll get a chance to know each other and ramp up your energy for what we're doing at Manifestasia. I couldn't be more excited to reach this step. It's about time, I should say. And I hope that you will all take advantage of getting your tickets early. This makes a big difference to us being able to continue to offer Witch Hat Chats, where it's a fundraiser, but it's a fundraiser through something that is going to benefit everybody. And of course, our theme this year is social justice, and it's going to be hands-on. This is not like your typical online event, is it, Nikki?
No, it's not. And we have some great people that's coming. We've got Byron Ballard. She's going to be doing some things for us. And we have Star Ravenhawk that's coming, and so many other people. And you're going to be able to do so many other things. So this time, instead of actually listening to somebody, you're going to be listening and doing something this time.
There really is a lot of emphasis this year on being active, being proactive, and not just sitting around and having it in the background while you do dishes or something like that, but to be engaged. And there's also a lot of social component going on here. When you come to this event, you're going to walk away with a new friend, a new acquaintance, someone sharing that path with you, sharing the passion with you, and I think that this is going to be a fantastic way to fire up the new year for 2023. I can't wait for it to happen, but those tickets, grab them so that you can take full advantage of all the community and all the opportunities that are going on as part of the Manifestasia event. It's going to be more than just the weekend, so get in as soon as you can.
That's right. All right. So you want to know what our divination is for today?
I always do.
All right. So we usually do a divination. So the tea today is called It's called Prosperity, and it's from the Kitchen Witch Gourmet. And we'll be bringing on a guest that's the owner of Kitchen Witch Gourmet in a little while. But the divination reading, I saw this and I thought, this is interesting. So it's a quote from Wilford Peterson, and it says, "You may plan to write a book one day, but you are living a book every day." So let's talk to our expert chaos magician over here and see what he thinks about that.
Oh, I don't know about living a book every day. Sometimes I feel like I'm living a newspaper story every day. But I don't know. That's something that I've really got to give some thought to. That's a pretty bold statement there. What do you get from that, Nikki?
Well, I mean, you're living your story every day. Nobody else is living your story every day.
Fair enough.
The thing about it is, you're always the author of your own story. Nobody else is. Nobody else is writing your story. So you're the only one who can steer your own ship. You're the only one who actually makes decisions for yourself. Nobody else makes decisions for you. And so it's time for you to be able to take control of that.
I don't guess I can disagree with that. It's I guess for many people, it'll be like it is for me, that there's you're doing all the things. You got all this activity that you've got to deal with. You think I'm not really interesting enough today to be a book. Not even a Dr. Seuss book. It's just so much going on, so much activity, so much worry going on. And stories are supposed to be nice. Stories are supposed to be fun. And so it can be difficult to see yourself that way. And even when you do see yourself that way, what do you do with that?
Well, the thing about it is, if you're saying that stories are supposed to be nice, what about Shakespeare? All of his stories were mostly tragedies.
I might be sort of a Stephen King book. I can see that. That makes some sense.
You know what the thing about it is, we're usually not interested in what we do. We're always interested in what somebody else does. So you're always being watched by somebody, because somebody is always interested in your life. It's just like with a famous person. Most famous people are not interested in their own lives, but somebody else is interested, whether Britney Spears goes into, Walmart or goes into Target. Oh my gosh, she went into Target. Who freaking cares? I mean, everybody, has to go in for toilet paper or something like that. Really? That does not fascinate me.
I can appreciate that. Well, that's interesting. I don't have a whole lot to say on that. It's something I need to ponder a little bit more, I suppose. But that's okay. That's the whole point of these ideas, is to give us pause for thought, and maybe something will hit that makes the difference, all the difference in the world, right?
I guess. And besides, you're going to have a lot more adventures anyway, because you're going to become Santa Claus soon.
Yeah, well, that's already begun. There's already been some activity in that direction, and there's a lot lined up. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I like being Santa Claus, though. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do, and we don't, as we get older and we deal with Santa Claus as an icon and as a marketing tool. We leave behind the magic for Santa Claus. And one of the things that I think is fascinating about Santa Claus is there's a connection between Odin and Santa Claus that people forget about. Santa is doing as much to keep Odin alive as anything. And there's a part of the lore of Odin gets into the gift giving, but you also get into that connection between Odin and the wild hunt and all of this other kinds of stuff that we don't necessarily consider to be nice and happy and good for the children. And knowing that that's underneath that and knowing something about that lore gives me a very different take on how Santa comes out of me. I'm aware of some of the shadows that are going on there. And so I'm not saying that I go in and make the kids cry, although that is part of the Santa gig. They do that all themselves. I'll tell you one of the things that is very interesting about portraying Santa that people don't think about and that you don't see until you're looking at it from this perspective is the ways in which people are just not very respectful of the children. I can feel what's going on with these kids. I can feel their reluctance. I can feel their uncertainty. And I can feel the almost bullying nature the parents have. Go sit on Santa's lap. Well, the kid really doesn't want to sit on Santa's lap. I don't care why. It doesn't matter why the kid doesn't want to sit on Santa's lap. The kid doesn't have to sit on Santa's lap. And I have many situations where the parents are pushing the kids in a direction that is clearly uncomfortable for them. And I'll make alternative suggestions. Would you like to just stand here next to me? Do you want to sit up here beside me if the thing is big enough for that? Sometimes the kids are just not interested in dealing with Santa at all. And I'll suggest that, let's just let the kids sit in the chair and I'll just kind of peek around the corner from the back or something like that. There's no reason why Santa has to be torture.
Right.
And it's interesting to me that the parents don't even seem curious why the kid is uncomfortable. Doesn't matter. We're gonna get this damn picture. And I find that every once in a while I don't get in anybody's face. I don't refuse. I mean, there are times where you gotta let everybody have their family dynamic there. But when I'm sensing the discomfort, I try to insert this idea that, well, there's lots of different ways we could do this. And maybe we could do it in a way that's not upsetting. Why not do that? And I find that most of the times the parents just didn't even think that there was another way to do it. And when I see the relief with the kid that I'm not part of making them do this. I love it when that happens and the kid gets to do something that they have autonomy, right? This is all about bodily autonomy and that sort of thing. And so that's something that I try to do as Santa, is to make sure that the kids are comfortable and they get something they want. It's not all about just forcing that one idea on everybody. So there you go. There's a glimpse into what is in the world of Soul Santa. More than you wanted to know.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to be back with our guest. Have you wondered what spirituality is? Spirituality is limitless, as it does not contain any boundaries on beliefs or practices. Spirituality's most important component is personal experience and allows one to explore it freely. Evermoving We Rise is a spiritual moving tradition, as our name is our lifestyle, because we are persistently rising and moving forward. We realize that everyone's spiritual journey is extremely personal, but more easily traveled with reinforcement. We'll teach you to become friends with your shadow, emerge your authentic self, and give you time and space to develop your own spirituality. And when situations bump back, you'll have the entire community behind you, as we are a magical family who work to sustain each other. Discover the benefits of working within a society dedicated to helping you grow on your personal path. Visit us on our website, Linktree, or Facebook page and discover why we don't fit in the box. Behind the door, and ye should find the return of the Barebone Trio. See no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil, skeletons. This Barebone Trio reminds us not to take life too seriously and shows us the sense of humor we all have. Each one crafted with specific detail and are great for the Day of the Dead, your ancestor altar, Halloween, Samhain, Hecate, and the possibilities are limitless. And there is so much more in our wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you.
At Witch Hat Chats, we promote magical knowledge, arts, and music from all cultures. We invite you to join us as our guest to share your practice, especially if your traditions are lesser known. Email us at witchhatchats@gmail.com. Tune in every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook page.
Welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. I am Saul Ravencraft. I am here with Miss Nikki Kirby, and it is time.
At an early age, this guest host learned the art of kitchen witchery from her family's maternal line. She teaches tea readings and tea magic in the United States and China. She applies her vast knowledge and experience of kitchen witchery to her business, Kitchen Witch Gourmet, a loose leaf tea and spice business. Her soon-to-be released book, Tea Magic Spells, Rituals, and Divination in Your Cup, will be coming out on December the 9th. We are proud to welcome Jenay Marontate. How are you doing, Jenay?
Hi, thank you. I'm doing well. It's nice to be here.
Glad to have you here. Tasseomancy.
Yes, tasseomancy. So tasseomancy really is the art or the technical word for tea leaf reading. But what a lot of people don't know is it's also sediment. It's really sediment reading. So whether you're reading coffee grounds or tea leaves or wine sediments in your wine glass, anything that settles along a glass or cup or crevice. I mean, if you were out walking the streets on a fall rainy day and you came across a mud puddle that, water that had formed and had, evaporated down, you can read those too if you need a quick answer from the universe.
When they talk about tea readings, it always reminds me about that Harry Potter movie, the Grimm.
Yeah. The greatest part about tea leaf reading is you get to enjoy the magic while you're, having the reading and experiencing the tea and putting it back into yourself and who you're reading for or with. So part of tea leaf reading that sometimes people don't recognize is the power of water in the cup. So the actual carrier of the leaves and the fragrance and the scent. So water holds vibration. We all know that old scene in the movie Jurassic Park when they're walking and they see the dinosaur ripple the water glass. Well, that is water being alive, holding memory, holding place, showing you what's coming. And when you're speaking over your tea or over your cup, your tea and water is absorbing the vibration of your voice. So it helps to move the leaves in a place where you can read them by using the vibration of what you are saying or divining. Something to know about tasseomancy.
Was tea always a big part of your family?
You know, tea really is. It started with peppermint tea as a child, the love of the ritual of nighttime tea time, and, you know, adding the honey to it and stirring it around and watching it drip into the cup off the honey dripper. And, you know, coming from the Northwest, I grew up in like the mountain ranges of Oregon. Peppermint grows wild. So there is often much, you know, walking through, gathering mint, going home, making tea. It wasn't until I was actually older that I realized that tea was a whole different entity into itself. Like there's actual tea and there's actual tea ceremonies. And so when I discovered that, it just really opened up a whole new world of magic and excitement.
Are you still very much into the minty teas, or do you have a spectrum?
I like it all. There's really not a tea that I don't like. I like mint, but you know, I like true tea now. I think as you grow, your palate changes, your whole, you know, need for different flavors and different elevations of, you know, things to try changes. So moving from mint, I think the next thing you kind of learn is iced tea, right? Or tea, oolong in a Chinese restaurant. And you kind of, everybody goes through these natural initiations of tea. And oolong is good, but you know, when you're in a Chinese restaurant as a child, you want to add all the sugar. As an adult, it becomes, you know, more thirst quenching. And then when you go into iced tea in summertime and then move into, wow, there's white tea and green tea, and how do we prepare these? And matcha green tea. And that's such a beautiful part of the Japanese tea ritual and tea magic. And so, yeah, I think what ultimately happened for me is I went from like the love of mint tea and the love of herbal teas and tea proper, and being, you know, witchy and growing up in a very witchy open family. I just began the love for tea so much I started just using it in ritual and using it as offerings to deities and using it as part of my altar practices. So I kind of moved from there. And then each tea also has like a different meaning. So if we're talking herbal teas, you know, herbal tea, like Nikki and I earlier were talking about prosperity. That's one of the teas that we make at Kitchen Witch Gourmet. And in prosperity, I have combined two mints together. So peppermint and spearmint, and those are both known to herbs to draw money to you. And peppermint is really good. It's like a strong boom of mint, like peppermint lightning. And then the spearmint, so peppermint lightning to bring in abundance and prosperity quickly. The spearmint is a little bit sweeter. And so it's really nice to sweeten up your draw for money and your call for money. So it doesn't have to be so, I need money, or, you know, come now. It can be a little softer and a little gentler. And also in the prosperity is oranges, like little orange peels, because I believe that oranges are the like tangible orbs of success. They're bright, they're golden, they're thirst quenching. So I like to add that to the prosperity with a little touch of licorice root. And licorice root helps you hold on to your money and helps you keep it safe and helps you make wise decisions with it. And that is something kind of from the Voodoo tradition. So I've kind of added that into tea witchery as I've, you know, called in with the mints and the orange. So starting with the mints, like my love of tea, and then growing into a tea witch, that's one of the tea spells that I created and have put birth into the world and share with the world. So, yay.
So when we talk about tea spells, are we primarily looking at preparing a tea almost like a potion, and then drinking it and letting it do its work? Or are there other approaches to using tea in a spell?
Yes, yes, and yes. So
Excellent.
when you're preparing the tea, right, that's a whole mental ritual. That's a physical ritual. When you're speaking abundance that you're seeking into your tea, that's your water carrying the vibration that resonates with the corresponding herbs or tea that's in there. And so then you take that vibration and you imbue it into you. So you drink it in, and then you become the action manifestation of creating the prosperity. So like that peppermint lightning gives you that boost to bring it to you, to help resonate in your being as you are experiencing this tea. But you can also take the herbs or the tea and put it into like mojo bags, or you can sprinkle it in front of your doorways to offer in prosperity. I'm talking in the dry form, not the wet tea leaf form. So you can use it all the way around. If for the wet leaves, you can also use those as an offering into your garden, like to Green Man or Bloodwood. You could offer your teas and the leaves and turn them into soil spells and garden spells also. It's a wide variety of spell witchery, tea witchery.
Right. Now, you are working with loose leaf tea, obviously. And what is really the difference between what you get from working with loose leaf tea and, say, the tea bags that you might get?
Well, tea bags have gotten better over the years, but in general, people are very familiar with like Lipton's tea, and it's almost like a powder inside of there. It's almost like what's kind of scooped up off the bottom of the conveyor belt and put into bags, because the finer leaves of tea and the first pick of tea and the second pick of processing, those go into the beautiful tea tins, and that's where they the higher end tea houses carry those tea, and they just save the easier to brew bags. You never know how old that tea is to the masses. There's nothing wrong with Lipton's tea. It's a great Assam dark blend. It's what most of us know as tea. And it's great that we have that. And one thing about working with tea bags is, the cool thing about tea bags is once you like do the, steeping of the tea, you can actually use that tea bag as a pendulum. So if you need a pendulum reading quickly, or you're really unclear about something going on and you're in a restaurant or you're having tea by yourself at Barnes and Noble, it's kind of a fun little private divination tea witchery thing that you can do. And a side note. Like I said, the teas have gotten better. Like, so some of the higher end teas that come in nice silk bags that you can really see the herbs and the flowers and the tea leaves in there. We're glad those are out there in the universe too. And those, if you're ever in a quick pinch and you need a herb or a flower for magic working or a spell, you can always cut them open and, pick the flowers out or use those too. He has just this whole hidden garden of magical uses that you can glean from it.
You said that your appreciation for tea started as just the mint teas and different experiences. The area that you live, and I suppose your family was a little bit into tea, at least. Yes. But somewhere something shifted. What led you to view tea more magically? I'm sure there wasn't a moment where you would just, aha, tea is magic, but
right.
But something started you down this path.
So there was always, growing up magical and growing up having, spells and, offerings to deities in our home. There was always tea as herbal. And so when I was about 22, I found myself getting a tea leaf reading in New Orleans. And I think things started to really shift there. The tea that she served me was just so delicious and beautiful. And I think the whole experience, the chair, the room, the lady, the reading, the magic, the city, all of that really enchanted me. So I really started thinking more about tea. And there was this Chinese herb store next to me that had this really great green tea. And I started thinking about the medicinal properties of tea and how old tea is, in the sense of how long it's been such a huge part of society, and our grandparents and our parents before them, the ritual of drinking tea. We take it for such granted today, but it really was, if you 200 years ago, if you could afford tea, you were very affluent. And well, maybe 300 years ago, because 200 years ago is when we threw it all in the harbor, but that's a different thing. So tea just started to click with me, like, this is something that I need to think about. This is a plant ally. This is something that I would like to walk with. And I just started trying new teas and drinking new teas, coming across like oolongs, pu'ers, assams, darjeelings, and kind of tasting the differences between them. And what I found that I really like to do the most is create blends, to take a tea leaf, so to take a beautiful green tea, a nice, fresh, bright, high oxidant, antioxidant tea with health benefits, and then mix that with something softer like rosebuds and damiana and pomegranate, and create uplifting love tea, like to really kind of lift your libido and lift your experience. So it was just really an ebb and flow. So like you say, Saul, there was no like aha moment. I think if there were any aha moments, it was the tea leaf reading that really was such a magical experience that I carried that into the next decades of my life.
Yes, I actually blend some teas myself. There is a green tea Earl Grey that I absolutely love. And my mom had found it one time a while back, and I have a hard time finding it. So I always have to go and get just regular Earl Grey and then regular green tea. And then I have to mix them to get that flavor back again, because it's so hard to find.
So if you take your green tea, and if you can source bergamot peels, and that's what gives Earl Grey its really bright flavor. So you can source that and add that to your green tea. And you can also, if you get like a really high quality bergamot essential oil, like from a really top A fragrance or essential oil company, you can add that like a light mist over your green tea and really bump that flavor up onto your green tea also. So if it's a caffeine issue or a taste issue that you want to eliminate, you can add the bergamot to it, and that will help elevate the flavor of the tea. And it should, if you're looking for something kind of easier, but in that same line, so keeping the quality really high for you. It's an idea.
Okay.
Yeah. But Earl Grey is definitely mainly known as a black tea. It was blended for, oh my gosh, am I going to get this right? It was blended for an English diplomat that had been doing business with China when they had started opening up the borders of China to bring tea to England, to make it more accessible to the people. And it was blended for Earl Grey. Yeah. And so it was specially made from China to this Earl to thank him for all of the good business trade that they had done together. So it was specifically made, and it was, shared among the elites for the longest time. And then it was eventually Twinings got a hold of the recipe, one of the oldest tea houses in England. And now they are the official producers of proper Earl Grey. Like saying champagne is only from Champagne, France. So like Earl Grey. And one other thing about Earl Grey is it is a natural antidepressant because of the bergamot. So it really keeps you uplifted and awake and alert. There was a study done, and I don't remember where I read it from. So it says that the suicide rate between London, England, and Seattle, Washington, and Seattle is much higher than England, even though England has many more gray days than Seattle. And they did this research and they traced it back to Earl Grey and tea time. So Seattle has home of the coffee companies. So you pound the coffee, you get the caffeine, you get the rush, you're up real high, you crash real low. And as with drinking Earl Grey, with the natural bergamot and tea with its natural antioxidants really helps to uplift your spirits. And it's like any good antidepressant, if you're keeping it in your system at regular intervals, it really keeps you happier and brighter and more alert. And I could just go on about it forever.
So we're going to have to pause the conversation and hear a word from our wonderful sponsors. And then Miss Nikki and I will be right back with you to talk to Jenay Marontate about the wonders and magic of tea. We'll be right back.
The witching hour is here and new magical products arrive at Moonlight Potions and Charms. And what appears during the magical hour? Our mysterious triple goddess Hecate key necklace comes in 2 sizes, perfectly aligned with her wheel so her devotees can find their way through the darkness. The handsome hand of God statues believed to be protective talismans of luck, fertility, abundance, and good health come in black or white. One of the best ways to bring your ancestors with you no matter where you go is our traveling ancestor altar on the go. They come in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, perfect for all of your needs. They include candles, an oil, a toy for the little ones who passed on, and so much more to honor your beloved dead. And our Papa Legba key necklace are perfect for the devotees of the King of the Crossroads. Comes in 2 sizes, each one specifically prayed over and dedicated to Papa Legba himself. Appearing for the first time, Baron Sam D and Mama Bridget, Altar on the Go limited edition. Yes, you can take your altar to the cemetery with you. How cool is that? The traveling altar is complete with top hats, coffin nails, a cross from Mama Bridget, and so much more with room for you to add your own items. So show Baron Sam D and Mama Bridget the altar perfect for them. And don't forget, our barebone trio, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil, Skeletons, have returned. There is so much more in our wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you. Anybody can tell you what is on a tarot or oracle card. What matters is seeing beyond what others may not be able to see and help the client to uncover what lies in the mist. What do readings from Moonlight Potions and Charms do? Wednesday, I did this ancestor reading, and it was an amazing reading. And it was a detailed reading. And I remember talking to this customer's ancestors, and it was so delightful. And he wanted some questions to be answered about the magic in his family because he didn't know. And his family was mostly like most of our families are. You know how everything is like hush hush when it comes to the magic in his family. And he wanted to know who can he actually talk to about the history of the magic in his family. And I was able to give him specifically who he can go to talk to about that. What particular deity he can actually go to be able to help him with this. And it was just an amazing reading, and talking to his ancestors. They were such a delight, and they told me so much about this customer. It was just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful reading for him. And I was just so happy to be able to give him this wonderful reading. It's really amazing to be able to give people these readings, these products that's really going to help them, and be able to give back to the community, because this is what Moonlight Potions and Charms is about. We want to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. That is what we are all about, is to help you to do that. Book now and allow our wonderful staff to take care of your spiritual reading needs. And there is so much more in our Wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you. And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. And Saul and I are chatting with Jenay. And honey, you are coming out with a book next month. So tell us a little bit about that.
Hi, everybody. I am Jenay Marontate, and I am the owner and creator of Kitchen Witch Gourmet Loose Leaf Teas. And I've been in the tea business for about 15 years professionally, a tea lover for life. And it has, recently an amazing thing happened. So I was at this big pagan conference in San Jose called PantheaCon, and I was giving a lecture about tea and magic and how to use tea and magic in ritual. And the publishers of Llewellyn came to me and said, "Hey, do you have a book? We would love to publish a book for you." And I was just completely floored and honored and excited. So yes, I have a book coming out in just a few days, and I guess less than a month now. December 9th, it'll be out. You can pre-order on Amazon or Llewellyn's website proper. It's called Tea Magic. And tea magic is really an introduction to how to use tea in your magical rituals, your magical day-to-day life, tea meditations, tea mantras, tea witchery. And so my book will be out, and it's an introduction to tea and magic.
So this is the first book you've ever written?
Yes, it is the first book I've ever written. And so all
was
the magic
that like?
It was really it was a real blessing, actually, because Llewellyn had started talking to me about this book February 2020, and I accepted the deal like the beginning of March. And I was like, how am I going to do this? Because what I do in my business with my tea company is I don't have a brick and mortar store. It's online, and I run all over the place, all over the West Coast, doing fancy schmancy gourmet food shows and, pagan retreats and witch festivals, and you name it, I'll set up and do it. And so I was like, oh, how am I going to write a book during this crazy schedule that I've created for myself? So that was the beginning of March. And then, as we know, March 19th comes along and the world shuts down. So I was able to really pour a lot of energy and time into writing that I never had before. So that was a blessing that the pandemic brought me. So I was very grateful to use that time to really get the book done. And, there was plenty of time to do the edits and plenty of time to get it finished. And it was still scary. I think I write okay. Everyone thinks they can write okay, and they really liked it. So we'll see if you guys like it too. So it's out there.
How exciting. How very exciting.
Yeah, it was very, I'm so blessed. I am just so blessed. It was perfect timing, perfect magic, divine, all the way through. And with so much gratitude, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's ever bought tea from me or who even enjoys tea. I just have so much gratitude for this. Thank you.
So in the book, it says that there's 6 different types of tea.
There's really more than that, but the ones that people are most familiar with, so we've got herbal tea, right? We have white tea, which is, okay, first of all, let me start with, all tea is the same plant. So whatever tea proper you're talking about comes from the exact same plant, the bush actually, that can grow into big trees. And herbal tea is not a tea. It's a tisane. But they got kind of lumped into tea because you steep it like you do tea. And so, okay, herbal tea. And then there is white tea. And white tea is a really beautiful, light flavored. It's when the very baby buds of the tea leaves start to come through and they're white and silvery and have little fine hairs on it. That is white tea. Those are plucked, dried. It has the least amount of caffeine, very mild flavors, very, easy to consume, high in antioxidant tea. And then green tea is when the tea is a little more mature and it comes up and, the silver hairs fall away and then it becomes a nice sturdy, green tea. And those are plucked, picked, dried, and depending on in Chinese or Japanese, they're either flash fried, which is Chinese, so that dries them very quickly, or they could be steamed, which is Japanese, but it's all green tea. And that is the highest in antioxidants. It's just something about that process really locked in all of the goodness in the health benefits that the tea offers. And the green tea also has caffeine, not as much as black tea, but there is a lot of caffeine in there. It is also a natural appetite suppressant. That's why you hear a lot about green tea weight loss. And okay, green tea. And then there is black tea. And black tea starts out kind of as green tea, except for the process of black tea, it is fermented. So it is put into, cases or wherever, and it's slowly, even wilted down and turned around and oxidized. And that's how we get that real strong black tea flavor. And that is what we're most, the English, the Western society is most familiar with. And so that's black tea, lower in antioxidants, but they're still in there, but it's higher in caffeine content. And then we can kind of vary from there. So like yellow tea is kind of in between the black tea and green tea in the process of how you pick it and how you prepare it. So kind of think about it, it's wilted down, like, when you put a swimming pool outside in the summertime and then you move it and the grass is kind of yellow underneath. It's kind of a similar process. So you're wilting it down, you're grabbing it before it turns to the fermented process. And that's a very mild vegetal kind of flavor of tea, high in antioxidants, lower in caffeine. And then there's the Assam tea, which Assam is primarily grown in India. And all tea was once upon a time grown in China, and then anyway, more stories for a different day. So Assam and Darjeeling, those two teas are Indian teas. Darjeeling is considered, is rumored or nicknamed to be the champagne of black teas. And those teas have a real rich flavor that we're really familiar with on how they process the tea. And maybe growing in the high hills of India rather than China, and the climate differences lends to a different flavor of that. But we can go so far into how many types of tea there are, because certain teas are grown in certain regions or prepared in certain regions of China to be like, like the Lapsang Souchong, which is a black tea that has smoked over pine leaves and gives it that real smoky flavor. There's the Dragonwell green tea. And so it's just, there's many kinds of tea, but kind of the basic 6 teas are the ones I just kind of laid out there. Just to tell you how they're processed, like the 6 processes.
And so those processes affect the energy of the tea?
They do. Anytime that you're taking a plant off of its, life source, it's going to affect it. I think first it's flavor, and then if you want to go way into it, it could be on its magical levels. Your beginning, if you want to use a white tea in a new moon ritual or a starting over ritual, or if you want to use that in a to start something new because it's a new baby bud. So green tea can be used in money rituals for if you're American, because it's a very green tea. It's our money is green, so that's the association there. And you can also use it because it's hardy and it's robust and it grows and flows and has the most health benefits. So you can use that in prosperity rituals and in health rituals because it is the highest in antioxidants and it has the most health benefits in it. So not only does it help to curb your appetite so you're not filling up on junk food, but it also helps to heal you from the inside out. So you can use green tea in most of your health rituals. Black tea, I like to use black tea mostly in just like really strong earthy and grounding rituals because it's really robust in flavor. It's really strong. It resonates on masculine level. So that's something that you might want to use if you're going into a mental war or into something where you need a lot of strength and power to carry you through whatever you're working on.
So you said that all tea basically is the same plant. So when we get into things like oolong or jasmine or something like that, how does that fit into what you just told us about tea?
So oolong is another one of those 6 that I left out a minute ago. And oolong is actually prepared right between a green tea and black tea. So it is the middle ground. So it has a lot of the antioxidants the green tea has, but it has more of a richer flavor like the black tea has. So that's a middle tea. Jasmine tea is, whether it's green or black, jasmine is a tea that has been infused with jasmine flowers and jasmine oils. So that's what a jasmine tea is. And the legend with both of those teas, if you're working magic, is I like to say that oolong, since it's neither green nor black, it's great to use in truth spells. Like if you're looking to get the truth from somebody, that's not white, it's not black, it's somewhere in the middle. So if you want to try to talk to somebody about something and really get to the bottom of something, serving an oolong tea can help draw out the truth on that. Jasmine is really related to the fae folk and to the fairy folk. And they say the jasmine legend is that it creates longevity and really creates mortality. So that is, if you're working with any of those kind of magics or deities, beings, to use jasmine as an offering or to imbue, to bring that forth.
So blending in tea is pretty common. We were talking earlier about the idea, I don't remember if this was during our break, but we were talking about blending green tea and Earl Grey tea together. And obviously you talked about the jasmine and blending other things into teas, infusions and that sort of thing is Well, it's sort of the next level of tea. When people get into it, they become kind of apothecaries of sort. So, what can you share with us about tea blends and putting things in your tea and doing it wisely?
Well, first of all, Nikki has a great blend for her Earl Grey that she mixes the green and black together to get an Earl Grey green tea. And I think the most important rule is if you're just drinking it for flavor, if you like it, you like it. There is no yes or no. If you're drinking it for health benefits or for magical benefits, you want to stay in line with your correspondence. So if you're working with love, you might want to add your roses to a tea. If you are working in just for fun, I mean, by all means, open up your magic books and be like, oh, mint is for this and roses for this, and I'm going to use sarsaparilla for this, and I'm going to brew it up, and I'm going to have this magical potion, and I'm going to share it with my friends. It's really up to the tea drinker on how you blend it together. I really encourage everybody to just start blending and start drinking, and you'll kind of figure out what you like. One thing that people might overlook in tea is how to steep the tea. So green tea, sometimes people really say they don't like green tea because it can be bitter. A couple things about green tea is it likes a really light steep. So it doesn't like to be steeped for too long. It likes 30 seconds to a minute steeping, and then set it aside, and then you could re-steep that tea. Oftentimes, if you steep it for way too long, it gets very bitter and strong. If you put too hot of water on green tea, like if you put a boiling water on green tea, it will get bitter. But black tea loves a boil and loves a long steep. It's richer and brighter. Mints and herbal and flowers and softer things, they like a good long steeping, hot water, almost a boil, a long steeping. But then when you think about adding things like ginger or cinnamon or sarsaparilla, cloves, things that are tough like roots and barks, that likes a boil and a long steep because it helps to break down the barks of the cinnamon and the gingers, so you can really get that in there. So whether you're using like a ball or something that you're steeping in, if you're using like chai, for example, chai has it all in there. It has black tea, it has ginger, cinnamon, licorice root. I mean, chai means tea in India, and masala is what we consider chai tea in America. So a masala chai is what we think of as chai tea. And everybody makes it differently. There's not one masala chai out there that's exactly the same. But one thing I do know is if you're creating a true chai, I would put all of those things into like a muslin steeping bag. So you put your black tea, your ginger, your cinnamon, your cloves, your cardamom, black peppers, tie that in a bow, throw that in your pot of water, bring that to a boil. So now that we've softened up all of these roots and barks, then you can take like a fork or a potato masher or whatever you're using in your pan and kind of mash that bag down so it releases the cinnamon and ginger and the particles into the tea. So that's going to give it like a richer, heavier body. And then you bring it down to a simmer, and masala chais are traditionally a milk-based tea. So I always say start it in a little water to get that nice thick roux, for lack of a better term, and then add your milky substances like milk or almond milk, rice milk, whatever you're into. If you want to sweeten it up, I recommend dark brown sugar, because dark brown sugar has that like extra caramely touch to it, adds a little extra pop or flavor. And of course, there's honeys and agaves, and it's your potion. So you make it the way you like it. Taste it all the way through. You could cut up oranges and put that in there. I mean, it's just your potion and how you drink it. So I know that was way off topic from what you asked me.
No,
Saul.
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Well, with that, we are going to take a short break and listen to our sponsors, and we will be right back with the Witches Cabinet.
I'm Saul Ravencraft, co-host of Witch Hat Chats. I understand just how confusing and chaotic it can be to open to a path of magic and manifestation. Everything seems to turn on its head. I want to be an ally as you find the way upon your path. My studio setup will let us do readings, coaching, and exploration virtually, just as though you were sitting across the table from me. One size does not fit all, and we will work together to craft the right approaches to build your practice, your confidence, and your power using the tools of divination, magical works, and spirit connections. It's never too late to embrace a new path and emerge empowered. Go to texasmojoman.com and select Contact to begin. There's a message now. Let's get started working on your very good fortune.
And welcome back to Witch Hat Chat. Saul Ravencraft here with Miss Nikki Kirby and, of course, Jenay Marontate. We are talking about tea. We're talking about enjoying tea. We are talking about magic with tea. Tea is a wonderful thing. And now it's time for the Witches Cabinet. Yes, Nikki?
Yes, it is. So Miss Jenay is going to lead us in a tea spell for the holidays.
Okay. As the holidays come, we know that that is a time where families get together and sometimes tensions run high. Because as a very wise person told me one time, there are two things that you absolutely cannot help. And that's who you fall in love with and who your family is. So since we can't necessarily choose our bio family, if that's who we're bringing together, or our friends and family, stick with me here. We might want to make a tea that's going to really help the communication, help things flow easily, to help the love shine bright from like a centered heart place. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about tea and magic for your family. The Thanksgiving this year is the new moon is the day before Thanksgiving. So if you have an opportunity and you want to make tea in a special teapot, maybe a teapot that was handed down in your family, but it could just be any old teapot or any old pan, however you want to make the water. But you can take this teapot and you can charge it under the energy of the new moon. So take your teapot outside, maybe even if you're going to use loose tea, or if there's some specific herbal correspondences that you want to bring into your family, you can place those inside the teapot, dry, or your tea bags dry. And just set your intentions, because as the moon grows full, we're bringing in opportunities, we're bringing in the chance to communicate, we're bringing in some illumination into this pot of tea. So just by allowing your tea and your teapot to really absorb the energy of new moon overnight, just leave it out there. Everyone has their own personal things that they want to work with. So whatever your personal vibration is that you want to put into your tea, asking the universe and your gods and deities to bring in harmony, to bring in love, to open up people's hearts, maybe to open up people's minds in your family. You can put that into the energy of charging your tea and teapot. So then when you come in the next day to make your tea and you have your sacredly charged teapot under the beautiful light of, or the lack of light of the new moon, then you begin to add your water. Your water holds vibration, so be sure to speak to your water too as you pour that in. I bring in friendliness, I bring in abundance, I bring in open-mindedness, I bring in love into this family circle who drinks from the tea. For family tea, I like to use like spiced orange teas or mulled wines, mulled cider, things that are spicy and warm. I like this for family ritual because when you feel warm inside, it kind of encompasses the whole room. It's kind of like a warm hug. So a nice spiced tea, orange tea, black tea. If you just have plain black tea, but you have some cinnamon around the house, you can add that to your tea too, be it sticks or a little bit of the powder. Just add it in there, stir it up. You might have a little bit of floatings on your tea, but it's not going to hurt you. It's going to be just fine. You can also slice up a little bit of orange to put in your tea. And I like orange because it's happiness. It's like the golden orb of success and happiness. It's something tangible that you can put into your tea. Cloves brings warm, abundant kind of feelings as you add that to your tea also. I'm just kind of leaving it a little bit generic because I know you out there, whether you are a beginning witch or you're not a witch at all, or you're, a master of whatever it is you're a master of, you kind of get the whole concept of putting in your intentions and your love and the vibration that you want to serve to your friends and family when they drink your tea. And I promise you, even if it's a plain bag of Lipton's tea, if you serve that in a charged teapot where you have whispered your incantations, your request over it, it will taste so good. And everybody there will be drawn to it because you have charged it with your center space, your heart, your mind, your vibration. And that, excuse me. And so as you begin your ritual of setting your teapot, setting your attention, setting everything in there, take a moment as it heats up, ask your guests, may I pour you a cup of tea? When you're pouring it, continue to think, please drink this with an open mind, with an open heart. We invite that into our family, into our circle. Whether you have a family where you can say that out loud or you say it quietly. So what if you have, your bigoted uncle, whoever, you really need that mind to open up. That's something that you definitely want to put into the heart. So we have a family member that they've been fighting for who knows how long about who knows whatever. Again, drink this cup of tea in perfect love, perfect trust. Bring happiness into our home, into our house today. And just put that vibration in there. It will work because it's your mind and your spirit and your recipe and your power center. Your cauldron is your teapot now. So yes, that's my tea spell that I'm leaving you guys with. Was it easy enough to follow?
I think so.
Okay, good. And we can go from there. So if you have any more questions, I was just kind of going with it. Let's bring it on.
Well, that sounds very simple.
It really is. You want to keep it simple. You don't want to get too muckled up. I mean, you can get as witchy and magical as you want. You could set your teapot outside with all the cups. You could put candles in between them. You can anoint your candles. You can bring all your light and power into it. But in general, it is your vibration that you're speaking into the water and the herbs and the tea. It's just the ritual is charging the vessel that's going to carry that.
Sounds good. Hey, and you can even do it for the eggnog too.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So how can our people reach you?
You can find me on my website at kitchenwitchgourmet.com. And you can get in touch with me through there, through the contacts. You scroll down to the bottom and contact, and that'll send you right to us. You can reach us at Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Kitchen Witch Gourmet. Don't forget gourmet because I'm fancy. And if you just type in Kitchen Witch, you're going to get a different witch. However, I have way more taste, just saying. And Kitchen Witch Gourmet, that's our handle all the way across the board. So that's our website, that's our social medias, and we're always brewing up magic one cup at a time.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, honey.
Thank you. I've had a blast. Thank you for speaking with me today.
It has been fun. All right. So that's all for our show today. So join us next week when Saul and I will be chatting with my sister witch, Byron Ballard. So get your vaccinations and your boosters, support each other, and keep your fuzzy babies, your family, friends, and yourself safe. And have an absolute magical week.
I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk. Nikki, Kirby with that black stone. I agree, Evermoving We Rise. Loving soul with a beautiful mind. I give you blessings under moonlight. I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk.